What does the future look like in the next 5 to 10 years? It's a big question and a lot of variables. And there's one thing that I want to concentrate on that affects you and I and everybody in society today. And that is a cashless society. We are heading towards a cashless society. Now, a cashless society is probably one of the most dangerous societies in the world. I've been paying close attention to what the CCP, Communist Party of China, has been doing. I've known this for years, and there will be the first country that rolls out the renminbi on a so-called blockchain, or DLT. They just kind of showed a little alpha model a couple of days ago. And you'll see all the central banks around the world start rolling out their own digital currency. This isn't new. We knew this is coming. Now, I want to explain to you why this is dangerous. You see, right now, the number one way of freedom of speech is actually voting with your dollar. You do it every day. You buy something, that's voting with your dollar. You support a political party, that's voting with your dollar. You purchase anything, that's voting with your dollar. Money is the purest form of freedom of speech. And this is why we've seen throughout history where governments take value from you or they steal it from you. That is a form of censorship, the worst kind of censorship, because you can't have commerce then. And so think about this. We're going to a society where every single action, your voting potential, is being monitored. Meaning, what you buy, they know. The political parties you support, they know. The charities that you give, they know. Every single time that you use your wallet, they know what you're doing. So you might ask yourself, so what? Okay, so what? In a cashless society, we become true prisoners in our own society. At any given time, if you misbehave or step out of line, they can freeze your money. At any given time, if they don't like the actions that you're doing, meaning they don't like that you're supporting a certain charity, they don't like that you're supporting an organization, well, guess what? They take the money away from you. Classic example is WikiLeaks. Visa, MasterCard, all the big credit card companies stopped supporting WikiLeaks, and if it wasn't for Bitcoin, WikiLeaks wouldn't be here today. And so think about that. They take taxes from you automatically. They can change the taxes overnight. They can freeze your accounts automatically. And every single form of freedom of speech through your voting power through the dollar is monitored. This is what China is doing. And this is what the world will do. And we will create a caste system. We will have different types of social economic class systems very similar to Black Mirror. Now, it's scary for a lot of people. The question is, what can you do? You know, there's a good word, agorism, meaning counter markets. And so throughout history of time, we've used cash as a counter market. Cash is the best form of independence. I can do trade underneath the table, nobody knows. I can buy stuff in cash, nobody knows. It is a freedom of speech. Cash is king when it comes to freedom of speech. But once again, if you have a digital dollar, there is no cash. Cash does not exist. We are slaves towards that dollar. We are literally serfs. And so this is the precipice, my friends. This is the time where crypto will shine. And what I mean by crypto is primarily Bitcoin. Maybe Ethereum, who knows, but Bitcoin's so far in the lead. And so we will see an emergence of a counter market. And so what can you do? Start paying attention to the blockchain space. Start paying attention to being a sovereign individual. Think about it today. How many things do you rely on from the government? Do you rely on food from the government? Do you rely on shelter from the government? Do you rely on safety from the government? Most do. This is an illusion. It's not real. Government doesn't grant you sovereignty. Government doesn't grant you freedom of speech. Government doesn't grant you freedom of religion. You're born with these rights. These are sovereign human rights. Remember, the government is us. Without us, there is no government. And we've been making very, very bad decisions. And we have a sheep-like mentality through memetics. People are brain dead. They're not educated. And people will always substitute convenience over self-sovereignty. They will always substitute freedom over security. And one does not have to predict the future. One can only study the past. And we've seen it time and time again with every single regime in the world. Wade Dai, one of the originals, if not the original Bitcoin developer, said it the best, and I'm just paraphrasing it over here. There's never been, in the history of mankind, a government that has never turned on its own citizens. Always has. It's the Ouroboros. Ouroboros, a snake eating its own tail, is the oldest mythological symbol to man. And it always eats its own tail. And then through that, the phoenix rises through the ashes, and we repeat the whole cycle. This is the very nature of what Rene Girard talks about in Mimesis. The sacrificial lamb, the sacrificial goat, casting our sins away, because it's never our fault as a society, it's always someone else's fault. And so we're heading towards this digital world where cash is not king anymore, where cash does not exist, where we are surveillanced, or we are being surveilled on a 24/7 basis through our actions of buying things. And so I urge you to start focusing on counter markets, on agorism, and start focusing on how to become a sovereign individual. Getting a land, controlling your own food, having a good community to support yourself. You know who had it really good? The Amish. Except for the whole technological thing. But they're self-sufficient. And there's a lot to be learned from these communities. You know, I'm not an extremist. I'm not a purist. I believe you take elements of everything and you find the best way to do things. I love to combine old traditional values with modern day technologies to create kind of like a new Jetson type of community, where we have self-sovereign, independent communities, but we rely on amazing technologies to do this. And so look into it. Take things step by step. You know, simple things you can do today: buy a little bit of Bitcoin and put it in a non-custodial wallet. That's one step you can take. Second step you can take is figure out your food supplies. Stop going to your local groceries if you can. Reach out to your local farmer. I'm here in Ontario. You know how many local farmers there are in Ontario? There's a shit ton. And there's services like CSAs and other type of organic services where you join communities and they just drop off the food for you. Get into foraging. You know, next year, unfortunately this year because of COVID, I can't fucking do it, but next year, at least 60% of my food will be from hunting, crossbow hunting. And so start small, figure things out. Start figuring out how you can really start being independent on yourself. And don't be too fearful. Fear is what they use to control you. Fear is the narrative, the software they use so you can give up the very gift that you were granted as a human being. When you were born, it's not given to you, it's innate. Innately human to have access to food, to water, to freedom of speech, to whatever religion you want to practice. And no government grants you these rights. And just remember that fear is the narrative they use to control you. Education is what they don't like that. This is why they have governments. All the schools are backed by the government. You go there and you get brainwashed. Same regurgitative story over and over again. Fall in line, you little pleb. Listen to us. We shall tell you what is good, what is not. When I look at school today, I'm like, this is classical Marxism red handbook. Like, it's ridiculous. You know, education stops at school. Education starts with yourself. You don't get educated in school. You educate yourself. And so I'll leave it at that, guys. There's a lot to do, but take it day by day, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace out.